Many publications have tested both versions of the Tesla Model Y. The standard range, which most people buy, it has a real-world range of 415 kilometers on average from 10 different real-world tests that I've seen. That's what it averaged out at. Some people got 450, some got 410. Average was around 415 to 420 kilometers in the real world. The long-range version of the Tesla Model Y, though, that was a completely different story. Edmunds tested the long-range version of the Tesla Model Y. They said it has a range of 317 miles in the real world, which is 4% less than Tesla's claims. Now, I don't believe they drove it until it died. It may have gotten more distance than that because Tesla does factor that in. When you hit 0%, generally you have an extra 15 to 20 miles of range. But anyhow, 317 miles in the real world. That's 510 kilometers. Now, this German publication has said they've tested this car and it has 415 kilometers of range, meaning Edmunds are claiming the car has nearly 100 kilometers more range than ADAC in Germany. Now, obviously, this is just made up because we've seen probably 10 to 20 different tests of the long-range version of the Model Y. They're all around that figure, around 510 kilometers or 317 miles in real-world testing. So it on average has about 100 kilometers more range in the real world than the Tesla Model Y standard range. Essentially what has happened here is ADAC have gone and tested the Model Y standard range. They've called it the long range in their publication to tell their buyers the efficiency and range is really bad, when actually they've just pretended to test the long range when they tested the standard range. Now, if you don't believe me, you can check. There's probably about 10 different verified sources you can easily find showing the Model Y long range has a real world range of 500 kilometers or more. After filming this video, I realized I made a little mistake. Now, this electric car test of 70 different electric car models was done by the German publication ADAC. ADAC probably knowingly did this. They've sent this publication to their 15 million members. This is distributed, in fact, to 20 million people in Europe. They've all been told the Tesla Model Y is terrible because ADAC say they've tested the car and its range is, well, about 160 kilometers below Tesla's claims. Now, what they've done is, possibly intentionally, told their members that they tested the version of the Model Y, the long range, but in fact they did not. They took a Model Y standard range, conflated the two together. They took the stats and the battery size of the Model Y long range, that those applied to the standard range. Now, basically what they've done is they've said the efficiency of the Model Y was worse than, about 40 different other electric cars that it has consistently beaten. They've said the Model Y standard range has a 79 kilowatt hour battery, when in fact it comes with a 60 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery. We all know this. We know the data's been confirmed. It's been confirmed by owners, been confirmed by BYD, by Chinese media. And unfortunately, this was probably done intentionally. There is clearly a feeling of threat here in Germany from Tesla. In Europe, there's enormous concern that the Chinese are coming to take over Europe's car market. Of course, in Germany in particular, the country that relies on its automotive industry more than any other country in Europe and more than any other country in the world except for Japan, there's some real fear that their factories are going to be shut down. Real fear. In fact, they believe there'll be hundreds of thousands of job losses. There's been a publication in Germany say that there will be possibly millions of job losses within the next 5 years because of the disruption of electric cars, in particular those from China and from Tesla. Therefore, it appears as though this was probably done to sabotage Tesla intentionally. I keep saying, don't trust the media. Do your research, my friends. This is the perfect example. You're being tricked even by the international electric car media. What am I talking about? Well, the biggest European publication for cars, automobiles, and for EVs in Europe just tested, they say they tested 70 electric car models. And the big headline they have splattered all over the media says the Tesla Model Y has one of the worst efficiencies of any electric car they tested. It was about, 40th, some terrible, terrible position. In other words, Tesla's claims for the efficiency of the Model Y are disgraceful. They're terrible. They're nowhere near what Tesla is claiming. International media has jumped on this story, gone, whoa, look at this news. These cars were actually tested. And all of this, my friends, is fake because the person who wrote the article didn't do their research. And what this means is this article has now been seen by millions of people, and they think their Tesla Model Ys, or even other people who are in the market and interested in buying one, think that they shouldn't buy one because of this information, which is unfortunately incredibly incorrect. I mean, the data they've used is so incorrect that it's just simply what Donald Trump would call fake news. Except in this case, it really is fake news. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. It's great to see you. I wanted to present you this information because I keep on saying, do your own research. Don't trust me. Don't trust the media. Do your own research. Now, I'll provide you with as much accurate information as I can possibly gather. And in this case, I'll give you some accurate information that shows you my key point here, which I made a little while ago. Somehow, Tesla is getting a lot more efficiency out of BYD's Blade battery than what BYD get out of that same battery pack. But according to according to the people who read this publication in Europe, which is millions of people, they think actually the Model Y is not. In fact, its efficiency is terrible. Now, maybe this is a simple mistake to make, but the mistake is so egregious and so bad that it stood out to me really, really immensely. Now, I went to their website and I thought, hey, this is great, Elbil24. This is Norway's biggest electric car publication, and it's read by everyone across Europe. It's perceived as being the gold standard. You want to buy an EV, go to Elbil, they'll give you all the information you need, then you can make the right choice. Now, they tested 70 electric cars. They said the Hyundai Ioniq 6 was the most efficient EV they tested, with 15.5 kilowatt hours used per 100 kilometers, meaning it was incredibly efficient. Interesting. Other people have tested the Model Y and found that number was actually reversed. The Model Y was more efficient than the Ioniq 6. Now, that would be surprising if that were true, because obviously the Model Y is an SUV, whereas the Ioniq 6 is a very sleek sedan. So different information coming in from different sources, but I do believe the Ioniq 6 is a great EV, very efficient. My only concern is the fact that it uses LG Chem batteries. And if you're going to pay a lot of money for a car, this is an expensive car, very nice car, I'm not really sure that's just something that doesn't give me confidence, put it that way. Anyhow, second place was a Hyundai Kona Electric, 64 kilowatt hour battery. Its efficiency was 16.7 kilowatt hours per 100. It was very, very close race between the Kona Electric and the Tesla Model 3. Almost the same efficiency, 16.7 for the Kona Electric and 16.8 for the Model 3. So one would think, therefore, that the efficiency of the Kona and the Ioniq 6 is amazing. Now, not so fast, my friends. Not so fast. If you jump on a Tesla forum or any electric car forum, you'll find people making statements of this effect. I bought my son a 2023 Model 3 with lithium iron phosphate batteries. He can charge to 100% all the time, which actually gives him more range than my Model 3 Performance, which I paid a lot more money for. My 2170 cells can't do that, thereby limiting my effective range. So what is the advantage of ternary batteries or nickel, manganese, cobalt battery cells? Well, that's what I've been saying on this channel now for 2 years. What is the real advantage? Is the claim range what you really think it is? Is the claimed efficiency all that relevant if you can't charge the battery to 100% without getting battery degradation problems? Therefore, yes, the Tesla Model 3 came in third, well, very, very close third place behind the Kona Electric, but the Model 3 uses lithium iron phosphate batteries and it can be charged to 100%. So although its efficiency is slightly down, it in the real world is probably going to give you a lot more range versus the other two vehicles that I mentioned, at least compared to what you might expect. Now, let's have a look further down the list and you'll find there's no Tesla Model Y, which is surprising. Usually Model 3, Model Y being tested, they're in the top 4 worldwide in terms of efficiency. This has been done many, many times with different publications, different journalists have done the tests, and you think, oh, that's expected. Hyundai and Tesla, very close race with efficiency. Often Hyundai wins, sometimes Tesla win. Anyhow, next was the surprising Fiat 500e electric cabrio. In other words, a convertible Fiat 500e, very, very small little EV. Very cool though. Next was the Renault Twingo. Very surprising to see the Twingo in there. Then you got the Dacia Spring. Then you got the Kia Niro EV. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 is next. Kia EV6 was next. Polestar 2. You're starting to think to yourself, hang on a minute, Polestar 2 always has worse efficiency than the Model 3 and Model Y. What's going on here? Something strange. Maybe the Model Y is not very efficient. Maybe it's changed. Well, no, it hasn't changed. The only thing that changed was the people who did this test and actually produced the wrong information. Next was the Peugeot E208, and then the Kia e-Soul, still no Tesla Model Y, followed by the Renault Zoe, the Megane E-Tech, Electric, the Volvo C40, Citroen EC4, definitely not going to be a winner for efficiency in all the tests I've seen. Volkswagen ID3 was next at 19.3, BMW i4, Skoda Enyaq, BYD Atto 3, and here I realized there was a problem. Because the BYD Atto 3 has the same battery pack size, same exact battery as the Tesla Model Y. In fact, BYD provide that battery to Tesla themselves. And China have confirmed it is the same battery in the Model Y as what's in the Atto 3. Now, this is where things get obviously wrong, because the Atto 3 returned an efficiency of 19.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, putting it in about 20th place in this test, and it returned a range of 345 kilometers in the real world on a claimed battery pack size of 60.5 kilowatt hours. So why isn't Tesla listed here? Because they use the same battery. Well, next was the MG5, followed by the Mercedes-Benz EQE, then the Aura 400 Pro Plus. Subaru Solterra was next. Hang on a minute, Subaru Solterra is more efficient than a Model Y, apparently. Peugeot E 2008, followed by the Opel Mokka E, Audi Q4 Sportback, BMW iX. Yeah, going down this list, I'm going to bore the hell out of you if I read all the cars all the way down here to, I don't know where it is, like 50th or something. Tesla Model Y apparently uses 21.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers on this test. And I'm thinking, how is this possible? Tesla's claim is 16.9. But not only how is this possible, the Tesla Model Y got only 415 kilometers of range. But that's actually not too bad because it's using the same battery pack as the BYD Atto 3. In other words, the Tesla actually got 70 kilometers more range in the real world than the Atto 3. The Tesla Model Y is a car which is 23% bigger than the Atto 3. It's a far bigger vehicle. It's in a class above. So, what's happened here? Well, apparently Elbil24 believes that the Tesla Model Y has a 79 kilowatt hour battery. However, like I said, it uses the same battery pack from the Atto 3. So what's happened here is Elbil24 has just made some kind of accidental mistake. They've thought they were testing a Tesla Model Y long range all-wheel drive, but in fact they were testing a Tesla Model Y standard range. They've kind of swapped the two vehicles between themselves. So they've accidentally said that all of these other EVs, obviously are more efficient than a Model Y. People have come here, thought, wow, Model Y is rubbish. We're not going to buy one. Hey, it's easy to make mistakes. But my key point here is, because they've believed this battery pack is a 79 kilowatt hour pack, they've said the efficiency is terrible. And of course, now the global media have jumped on this article and started to say, wow, look at the Model Y. Its efficiency is horrendous. So, why would you buy a Tesla? They're not very good. Well, the reality is here, the efficiency is incredible because it's using a lithium iron phosphate battery pack. It should be less energy dense, and it is a bit less energy dense than the lithium ternary battery packs of about 95% of the cars in this list. But it's actually pretty staggering that Tesla is getting 415 kilometers of range in the real world, especially seeing as it's not really 415. What do I mean by that? Well, the testers stopped when the cars hit zero, not when the cars actually stop. Now we know that when a Tesla gets to zero, it has on average around 15 miles extra of range.
So far, I have driven 20 kilometers after the car said 0% battery. It's the first warning we've gotten. Since 0%, we have driven 30 kilometers. So we drove 33 kilometers when it's at zero.
Some people say it's 30, but let's just be conservative, go with the 15. In other words, it has about another 25 kilometers of range once you hit zero. That's standard for all Tesla vehicles. For some reason, Tesla have just built that into their cars. Now, moving on from that, What are some of the worst, most inefficient EVs on this list? Now, I don't know if we can really trust this list considering the mistake they've obviously made here with Tesla's vehicle. But anyway, let's just assume that everything else is correct. Mercedes EQV. Now, that is the worst, least efficient vehicle here. It uses 30.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But to be fair, the Mercedes EQV is a van. So, I mean, that's not really fair because there's no other vans in this list. But we can see a few cars in this list that, while if these claims from Elbil24 are in fact correct, I've checked battery sizes, they do appear to have gotten these ones right, then this could be a good reason that you would probably not consider these vehicles. The Volvo XC40 had the worst efficiency of any passenger car ever tested in the history of Elbil24. They said it used 28.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Personally, you guys know this, I've been effusive in my praise of Volvo. I really am a big fan of Volvo. I've always loved Volvo. I don't know why, I just have. And we've owned a Volvo. We just owned one. We just sold it before we went to Thailand for Shanna's cancer treatment. We sold her Volvo. It was an XC60 and we really loved that car. It was great. It was very reliable. But the XC40 at that efficiency, 28.8, doesn't use an LFP battery pack. I wouldn't be buying one. It's just, the efficiency is, well, very, very bad at 28.8. Anyhow, next was the Jaguar I-Pace. Now, the Jaguar I-Pace is a very expensive car. It costs in Australia around $130,000. Jaguar I-Pace had 27.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers in efficiency. It won World Electric Car of the Year. Should it have won based on that efficiency number? No, that is horrendous. You can see why it's not selling. Even Jaguar themselves quote a poor efficiency of that number. Their official quote is 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, but it actually did much worse on this test at 27.6. Next was the Volkswagen ID4 GT-X4 Motion at an incredible 26.9. Audi e-tron GT Quattro was 26.3. The Audi e-tron 55 Quattro, 25.8. Now, it is a big car, the e-tron, but that efficiency for a car that costs that much does seem a bit appalling. Next was the Aways U5 Premium. The Aways U5 Premium is an electric car made in China by Aways, and that vehicle is a similar size, a little bit smaller than a Tesla Model Y. Its efficiency was 24.7 kilowatt hours per 100. That was followed by another version of the Audi e-tron, the Sportback 55. Then we had the Neo EL7. Now, for some reason, on Elbil's site, they've called it the 9 EL7. It's actually called the Neo EL7. That was followed up by the Genesis GV60. Very surprising result for the GV60. 23.9 kilowatt hours per 100. Considering it's basically a Hyundai EV, I think that maybe they've gotten the battery pack size wrong here because it shouldn't be that different. It shouldn't be, 70% worse than other Hyundai EVs. That was followed by the Opel Combo E, the Porsche Taycan. Now, this is a surprise for me. The Porsche Taycan's efficiency, 23.6 kilowatt hours per 100. How is that possible? Porsche on the WLTP cycle claim efficiency of 26.2. Wow. Very inefficient. Now, the surprise is it did better than the claims from Porsche. That's a positive. It was probably the only car that actually outperformed its claims. Anyway, 23.6 kilowatt hours per 100, followed by the Ford Mustang Mach-E extended range at 23.6 and the Volkswagen ID Buzz Pro. Now, the ID Buzz Pro is a small van, so I think those numbers are okay. But the Mustang Mach-E number of 23.6 is, I think, pretty disappointing. Anyhow, there you go. There's some interesting numbers on cars you probably shouldn't buy because, think about it. If your petrol car was using twice as much fuel as another car, you would definitely, if your gasoline powered car was using twice as much fuel, diesel car, doesn't matter what it is, I think you'd think, no, I'll choose something else. You're basically like driving a V8 car around, a big V8 engine, then you expect I'm going to use more fuel. But with some of these cars, you're not getting that advantage. Some of them are small cars, ID4, the Volvo EX40, Genesis GV60, Ford Mustang Mach-E. I really think the efficiency of these cars would be, for me, a reason not to buy one of them. But then, on the flip side, looking at the Hyundai Ioniq 6, the Hyundai Kona Electric, Tesla Model 3, Tesla Model Y, Fiat 500e, the Mini Cooper SE, Renault Twingo, Dacia Spring, Kia Niro EV, Hyundai Ioniq 5, and the Kia EV6, plus the Polestar 2 long range. it shows you that those are probably the cars you're going to get better value for money for. You're going to pay less for charging. A lot less money is going to go into electricity you pay to charge those cars. Now, what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description to this original article. You can go there and find the information. I think you'll see what I've found here is correct, that they've just made a mistake on the Model Y, and then they've based their entire article around saying, well, the Model Y is terrible, because they didn't actually realize that they were testing the Model Y standard range, not the long range that they claimed. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.